May give us one of those at the end. Welcome to Behind the Play, a video and podcast product of The Hoop Show that explores the lives of Geelong players past and present, as well as the off-field figures that are keeping us Geelong strong. My name is Paul James, and today I have the great pleasure to introduce someone who many of you may not have been aware of until just this past weekend, the incredible win against the Dees, which we'll of course talk about in a bit more detail shortly. But I'm joined by Jake Rippon. How are you, mate?
Oh, g'day, Paul. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, great. And I guess as I just opened up with there, people may not necessarily be familiar with you up till this point, but I'm sure after this past weekend, even if they don't know you by name, they're possibly familiar now because there was certainly a fairly iconic sight that you were spotted engaging in over the course of the weekend. We were chatting about it pre-show, but what's it been like this week since the Channel 7 cameras caught you and the internet's had its fun?
Absolutely madness it has been. Yeah, it's been crazy. It's just all the family, friends, even Geelong supporters just supporting, obviously, the celebration and everything, and what's behind it is actually funny as well. But overall, it's just been crazy, and that so many people are behind it, and I didn't realize that there was a camera on me. But
yeah, how could you, right?
Exactly, but obviously, when it first happened, I got a message from my boss, actually. And he called me a champ with a couple of laughing emojis. And I just checked my phone in my pocket. As I was so focused on the game, I checked my phone and I looked at it. I'm like, oh, he'd probably just see me like a glimpse on TV. And then it was about 30 seconds afterwards. It was just constant.
The photos start piling in.
Oh, yeah. Photos, messages, Facebook posts, Snapchat stories, everything like that just started piling on. And I didn't realize what it was. And I'm like, oh, I'll look at it later. I was too focused on the game. And it wasn't until I got a call from one of my best mates after the game and called me FaceTime, and I was like, oh, what's up? He was like, you are one of the biggest nuffies I ever know in my life. And I was shocked, and to see everything after that, it was crazy. Even to get on the Cats page and Joel Sell replying to it,
Yeah.
it made my week, made my day. It was amazing to see that. Getting on Sportsbet, becoming a meme. It's just, yeah, it's an absolute madness, but yeah, it's great to be a part of it.
Look, we've obviously heard a lot of commentary out of even the club, external people, everything over the course of the week, not just about you, but about what it was like. And I unfortunately couldn't make it to the game on the Thursday night, so obviously you clearly got really swept up in that particular moment, but what was it like the whole game through? Because we've kind of heard from the players, and it was incredible. You hear the commentary team talk about it was buzzing, but of course we're down like 19,000 seats, or give or take, from what they actually want to get to. But what was it like? Because you've obviously been plenty of games over the journey. How did that atmosphere stack up?
Oh my goodness. For being such a small stadium as it is now, with only having 20,000 seats or so.
Yeah, Gold Coast have got more seats than us at the moment.
Didn't even realise.
Yeah,
they do. It felt like there was about 60,000 people at GMHBA Stadium. With myself and Steve, I'm in the cheer squad. So,
yep.
And Steve, we're pretty much. I wouldn't say I am. I'm not gonna say I'm the part of the role, but he pretty much gets everyone up and about in the cheer squad, and I sort of help him to it. And
in terms of like getting people pumped up and getting that energy going.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And starting the chants and everything like that. But around us was just absolutely insane. What stand are we? I think it's the player stand where player stand. All above the player stand, the whole wing that I know of, just pretty much the whole stand was just going off. Joining in the cheers with us, it was absolutely amazing to be a part of. And then it just got me thinking, imagine when the new stand is there and we have another game.
Yeah, another close to 20k people in there. Exactly. You have a game like that.
And you have a game like against Melbourne. It was not even just at that moment. It was as soon as the ball bounced, the whole stand just started going off, and it was absolutely amazing. It gave me goosebumps as soon as we started our first chant, and I was shocked. Why can't it be like this every game? It was amazing to be a part of, and I hope we get more crowds like that.
Well, I guess wading into that, why can't it be like that every week? And I don't want, we as Cats fans have all been pretty privileged, even over the course of really the last 20 years, give or take, with how successful the team's been over that time. And I guess to you, kind of, you didn't really throw it out as a direct question there, but why isn't it like that every week? I guess if you think about a lot of the teams that we play, they're interstate teams, or they're your Melbournes, your Norths, the St Kilda's, teams who, unfortunately for them, haven't necessarily been the most successful over the years, or they're teams that have travelled and don't have themselves this massive supporter base locally within Victoria, or even more specifically Geelong. So we've not necessarily had the right team for it. Now, again, Melbourne's supporter base is not the biggest compared to a lot of the other Victorian clubs, but they've all come out of the woodwork in the last 12 months, funnily enough. And I think, you get that right environment, you get the right team, you get first versus second, and all of a sudden, it doesn't matter that there's 20-ish thousand seats that are missing.
Yeah,
place is going to go off.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be crazy.
Especially when it's a close one like it was.
Yeah, of course. Going back to what you were saying about not such big crowds coming into GMHBA. Like, there is that, but do you think obviously Melbourne, North Melbourne, even interstate teams, but if someone like the team, we have the Doggies in a couple of weeks at GMHBA, don't we?
Yep.
Yeah, we do.
And I think the Saints as well, so another kind of team vying off for the 8.
I wouldn't say we won't play Collingwood at GMHBA for a while. No, I don't ever see that happening.
They'd have to bulldoze the MCG for that to happen.
Yeah, exactly. I remember we played Richmond in 2017, but I think their supporter base has gone a lot bigger since they all
jumped on the bandwagon, right?
Yeah, they're all ever since they got the dynasty. But even just I can't even think of other teams.
I mean, we played Carlton. Was it last year? The year before? Now, obviously, COVID kind of nipped that in the bud, but like they're the sort of team that typically attracts a crowd.
Yeah, 2019.
Even Essendon have been to town.
Yeah, that's right. Was that last year? 2000. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was last year.
Oh, and the Bombers was it the round 1 this year as well?
Yeah, we had
round 1
Bombers
this year. Round 1, and that was the country game. Yeah. Was that the G? For some reason, I thut it was Geelong.
No, I was at the G at that one. I clearly remember that match.
Actually, no. Good point. You're right. Yeah.
But I remember having the Bombers last year because Jeremy Cameron kicked 2, and then he went off, sent off.
Yeah, tweaked the hammy a bit.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, even having a game such as Carlton, I know they get sort of big crowds at the MCG when I was there last year, but with the success that they've had this year, do you reckon it would be?
I reckon they're back off the table again. I reckon it becomes, especially if they can kind of sustain this form, whether they win the flag this year or not. I think if they can kind of sustain this form, then it instantly becomes more financially viable for Geelong, even if it's a Geelong home game, to go, no, let's take it to the G where we can get 80.
Yeah, exactly.
And we hear the numbers, like obviously any Geelong home game is a massive profit for us. They fill out the stadium instantly. There's no big issues there, but I'd imagine an extra 40,000, let's say even when the stadium's full, an extra 40,000 at the G though probably offsets that difference. You probably still turn even a greater profit. So you reckon that incentive is there to probably go to the G again?
Yeah.
Guess.
Yeah, I reckon so.
But for you, where did your love of the club first begin? I mean, you're part of the cheer squad, and we'll obviously kind of talk about how you found yourself involved with the cheer squad and everything that kind of comes with that shortly. But yeah, how did the love of the Cats first form?
My love for the Cats first came along in before 2007, as I can remember.
Didn't jump on that bandwagon.
No. But my sister Kylie, she used to do. I think she was a photographer for Geelong a couple of times.
Yep.
Remember James Kelly. Who else? Joel Corey. She did. Wojcinski. I remember all those
photos specifically for the club.
Yeah, for the club.
Yeah.
And then she came home with a Geelong Guernsey, and I said, "Oh well, this is pretty cool." And then it was later that year I was in kindergarten, and obviously everyone was in the likes of St Kilda, even a couple of West Coast supporters that I can remember. A lot of Essendon, a lot of Collingwood, and I was the only one in Geelong. Knowing that.
So where were you living at the time? Clearly not Geelong then.
Not in Geelong at that time. I was living in Werribee, in the Wyndham area. I was living there at the time. I'm living there now, but I was in Geelong a couple of years back.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just as soon as you started describing the various different clubs, like, feel like if you're at a school or a kindergarten in Geelong, you're far from the only Geelong supporter.
Exactly.
I think everyone else is the minority there.
But well, not that I remember, but 2007, were we premiership favourites sort of like in the middle of the year? Because we were.
Yeah, the first 5 rounds was a bit like we were 3-2, or was it 2-3? But then we had the game against the Tigers where we won by 170
that's
points
right,
or
that's
whatever.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that
remember.
massive game, and that kind of turned the form around. We played West Coast the next week and pumped them as well. And yeah, by about mid-season, we'd gone rocketing up the ladder, and we were probably favourites by that stage.
Yeah, it was about then where I started watching a little bit of the games. Not really, because it was a typical young kid thing. Oh, mum's going to me. Oh, I don't want you watching football. It's too rough. Yeah, everything like that. But it was more like I supported Geelong, but not fully until I'd say about 2015. 20 no.
Yeah, right.
20 no, even earlier. Like, oh yeah, you've got your grand finals. I watched them. I could watch a couple games because we didn't have Foxtel at the time, and it was only on Channel 10 that I remember of
Yeah, right.
back then.
Probably
So
when the coverage was at its
even
best, but anyway.
yeah. 09. I remember watching 09 Premiership. That's one of my favorite games to this day.
Yeah, agreed.
2011 prelim against Collingwood. I cried after that game. I remember that because my dad was a Collingwood supporter.
All right.
And then 2011 got the revenge back, and that felt nice.
Good.
But it was more started buying a membership and everything in 2015. Yeah, as I said, went to most games in 2015. Started to get more of a aggressive side of me inside of footy.
It's really started to come out.
Yeah, really started to come out with that one. But yeah, and then 2016, Patrick Dangerfield joined the club. I was really getting a lot more excited because 2015 wasn't a very good year.
Yeah, that was the down year for us. Yeah,
it was a down year for us. Started a little bit of a build up from 2015 and 2016. I remember Dangerfield came along.
Danger's last game for the Crows was a game against Geelong in
Geelong,
Geelong, and the crowd was applauding him every time he got the ball because everyone knew.
Yeah, that was great to be a part of as well. Also, 2016, I remember Shane Kirsten playing for us as well.
Yep.
At that time, McCarthy, got the likes of Nakai Cockatoo as well. Who else? Caddy, yeah, Josh Caddy.
Yeah, Josh Caddy would have been across in about that window too. Yeah.
Yeah. I was really thinking that 2016 was our year. And then obviously Sydney came along.
Yeah, look, don't worry, mate. I was thinking the exact same thing, and I guess the moment that my mates never let me forget, it was my moment on television when it comes to footy was that, and admittedly not the live coverage from the actual host broadcaster, but I was walking into that exact game, Geelong and Sydney at the MCG, with my then girlfriend, now wife, and I got pulled over by camera crew. And just to ask my thoughts on the game, the typical sort of stuff that goes on. It was for the news that was going to go live before the game actually started, and they asked what I thought, and I think at that time the Swans had a few players that were coming back from injury in that particular game, and I thought, they're going to be a little bit dusty. They'll need to find some form, and so I was pretty confident when they asked me the question. Oh yeah, look, they're coming back from injury. It's going to be this, it's going to be that. We'll probably win by 20-30 points, and that found its way to Facebook and all those sorts of things afterwards, and especially like from about quarter time, because obviously we got pummeled in that first quarter. The first quarter they blew us apart, and then we kind of broke even / probably even won the game from that point onwards, but it didn't matter. The damage was already done. We were down by 40-50 points or whatever it was, and the phone just starts a bit like you, but polar opposite, because things weren't going so well for us. Everyone was piling, and especially the Hawthorn fans, because they just relishing any opportunity to kick a Geelong supporter around. So I mean, I guess it's a totally different sort of circumstance, and definitely not the same scale, because it turned out it was ABC News. So again, not 7, not 9, they're not the big ones, but I found myself on Channel 2 that night apparently, and it didn't end well. So.
No, that would have been good at all.
So we can bond over these televised moments where we've been when we were busted, maybe not necessarily at our best, but yeah. How did from there? And obviously you've got your membership. You're getting right in the swing of things. Things are looking great for the Cats at the time. Hasn't quite worked out for us. But then how did how did you get involved with the cheer squad?
I actually enjoyed. Not sorry. I joined the cheer squad this year because obviously with COVID, I had a general admission membership, and
Yep.
I used to just go in the standing area and do normal cheering there. I used
Yeah,
to
I'm with you.
stand with a couple of my mates that don't usually go to the footy anymore, and I'm kind of shattered about. But I was looking through the website and I was thinking, oh, do I really get a reserve seat and risk it being like all the way at the top? It's because for me, it's rather front row seat or nothing.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's for me. Front row seat or nothing. And there was a cheer squad add-on, and I thought to myself, this could be the perfect opportunity because I've actually wanted to be in the cheer squad for a while. I used to sit usually a bay next to the cheer squad, and I'd
Yeah, so
still,
you always get that atmosphere because you're
I
still
still
real
get that
close.
atmosphere. Yeah, I always I do the chants even when I'm about bloody 3 bays away even.
Yeah.
But yeah, to join the cheer squad, they're a great bunch and everything, and they make the game a lot better. It's a better atmosphere, as you'd say.
Yeah.
And it's been really good this year so far, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
And so, yeah, you just basically almost threw yourself in there by taking up that extra cheer squad sort of thing there, and they all just embraced you really quickly and easily.
Yeah, it was one of the easiest welcomes
That's
I've
awesome.
ever received or anything. Yeah,
Did you buy in with a mate or a family member or anything like that, or was it you basically going, "This is me, I'm in. Hi everybody." Like, we know not necessarily that kind of, but like, did you have anyone that you were kind of attending with from that spot? Or
oh no, it was just me. Pretty
Yeah,
much,
sweet.
I just wanted to. Oh, it's not that I wanted to do it on my own. Sort of just had the thought that I want to be a part of the cheer squad, and I knew it was going to be great, and it is, and it's absolutely amazing to be a part of.
Yeah, especially when you get nights like last Thursday night. So.
Oh, of course, exactly.
Now, by this stage, we're in a bit of a time capsule here. By the time this goes live, we will have already played Carlton, so we'll see what happens there. We'll hopefully not get too carried away with ourselves, and that's why I think, just for anyone watching or listening, that's why we're kind of talking about last Thursday night, like it was, more recently than what it actually is now. So just, I guess, everyone watching, listening, just keep that one in mind. You did mention before when we were talking about when you got busted on camera there, you said there was a little bit more to the actual gesture in the first place. Now, most people know kind of the old school, what those gestures kind of represent. But I mean, was that what it was, or is there a little bit more to it for you specifically?
Yeah.
Was it directed at a particular player that you got a bit of an issue with?
It was directed at a player. I was being lippy with Maxi Gorn. He was in the goal square with Reece Stanley, and we were talking back and forward, having a little bit of a chirp. He was giving me a couple of one of these and everything.
Oh, he was dishing it back.
Yeah, dishing it back. I gave a little one just like that. Didn't say much. He gave me the eyes, and I was pretty much just going at him, talking about like free kicks and everything like that. Like it was straight after the Tom Hawkins situation as well. No, not straight after. No,
Yeah,
I bring up that Tom Hawkins situation, and obviously wasn't happy about it. And right after that, he obviously gave me the chirp and then ran off, and then Cameron Guthrie then kicked that flying goal, and then pretty much he looked at the ball and he pretty much looked down, and that's when I just went off with the celebration.
You gotta go for it.
Yeah, I just went for it. I didn't even realize I did it, and then it just slipped out, and I didn't know what to think afterwards. It was just caught.
Well, you're not thinking about the camera crews catching you.
No, of course not that, but even just the celebration itself, I had no idea where it came from, and then I thought to myself, I'm like, did I just do that?
Is that what you thought at the time before the messages started to come through, or was it only after that 30 seconds? And again, you mentioned the first mates kind of shot the message through.
Oh no! Before the messages even came through, I sat down, calmed myself down, and I thought to myself,
what the fuck did I just do?
Yeah, did I just do that? Nah, but yeah, it was very funny.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
I mean, like, unfortunately for me, it's been a while since I've been able to get to a game. I've got 2 little kids, and that kind of limits the opportunities a little bit. And obviously, there's been COVID the last few years, which ruins a few more. But like, my wife continues to tell me I'm a shocker at the game now. It's not the big gestures and that sort of thing. But apparently, I'm the sort that, and sorry for listeners only, the hands kind of go up in the hair and they just don't leave from like that point onwards. And she just insists, like, can you stop? I don't want you bald. Can you just stop? And instantly the shouting starts, and I start slumping in the seat. I'm one of those sort of ones, good or bad. And God help us if it's a Geelong and Hawthorn game, because the hands don't leave the entire game, regardless of how much we're up or down by. It's the same the whole time. because you just know that it's never gonna however the game's tracking, it's not gonna stay that way.
Exactly.
So-
That's the whole point. That's me with Collingwood and Richmond games now,
Yeah, that's
especially round 3 against Collingwood this year.
Yep.
I was sitting with my mate. He was up and about all third quarter. I was
So he's a Collingwood supporter, I'm guessing.
Collingwood supporter. Yeah, I had my hands on my throat. I couldn't watch. De Goey was destroying us.
And then Jez explodes.
Oh, and then the dart explodes. Favorite player. Love Jeremy Cameron so much. He's just the roles that he play is what I similar to be as well. Like he's a bit of a roamer, never up on the pack or anything. Just roams around, loves to run, and that's why I love him. It's just I'm speechless about him. I'm speechless. I'm getting red and everything.
No, the love affair can be real. That's totally fine. I'm sure Dart reciprocates too, so it's all right. Just got to get you two some time together, and I'm sure everything will blossom into something beautiful.
I would probably faint if that happened. No, I wouldn't go that crazy.
No, I mean that was so for me, and this was around the 2007-8 kind of period when we kind of first winning the flags and whatnot. I'd gone off to an ex's friend's 21st or something like that. It was kind of in the suburbs there of the city, and we'd gone off. It was a bar. They'd booked out the back room for it, and I kind of waltz on through. And this is only a few weeks after. Yeah, actually, it was 2007 because it was only a few weeks after the flag.
Yep.
And I go walking on through, and there's a spot for you all at the back, so I'm go charging on through, and for whatever reason, just a little look to the left, and I'd look to the left and I see Hawk, Joel, Jimmy Bartell, and Scott Selwood, who was just in town. Obviously, he hadn't joined the Cats at that point, but he was in town. I guess just catching up with his brother, and they were all there with their partners, and they were all there just having dinner or whatever. And it was that sort of fanboy sort of moment that kicked in, exactly like what you're talking about if you get your time with Dart. And it was just all night like, okay, I'm at this party, but it's not my friend, so let's just kind of keep half an eye out at all times. And
exactly.
It got to a point where like the shape of the pub itself was a bit circular. Like there was kind of lots of corridors that kind of keep leaning back on themselves. And so I'm walking through constantly, and then at one point, okay, like I'm clearly not going to get a chance with the boys, and I'd kind of lost sight of them for a moment. Walking one way, okay, hang on, well I'm going to go to the toilet. Turn around, bang, crash straight into Hawk, spill his beer down his front. Which I got reminded of when I went to, it was then the pre-season of the next year, and he's there, and like I'm front row, doing the kind of fan nuffy thing, even at an open even an open training day, and he goes, "Aren't you the bloke that spilt the beer down me?" I'm like, oh shit, yeah, yes mate, yeah. Can we not talk about this?
Nah,
he goes, "I'll hitch up one day." I'm like, oh. With your salary? No, get out of here. Just tried to shrink into the crowd at that point. But I guess we all have these moments, and being a part of the cheer squad like you are, I'm sure there'll be several opportunities for you in the future. And all that stuff's really cool. Like you get to meet your heroes. Yeah, now, exactly. You did also say when you were talking about Dart, there's kind of something you aspire to be a little bit. Did you play? Do you still play a bit yourself, or?
No, I used to play footy, but wasn't very good.
Okay,
back
fair.
in juniors. I tried to do preseason this year, but I couldn't as work was really busy.
Yeah, right. What do you fancy yourself as? In terms of position?
Forward.
Yeah,
forward.
okay.
Yeah, forward. Yeah, I love my forward. But yeah, other than that, yeah, it's pretty cruisy.
That's all right.
Yeah.
And I guess not playing, not training gives you more time to focus on the cheer squad and to focus on obviously your work as well, getting to games, all that sort of thing. You can't get to the game if you're busy playing a Saturday afternoon game yourself, right?
Yeah,
so it seems like you've made the right move.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I have.
Focusing on this year, and again, listeners, viewers, we are recording this before the Geelong and Carlton game. So who knows? We could have 15 injuries and everything starts to look a bit wonky after a brilliant win against the Dees. But how do you see things shaping up for the Cats at this point? The way everything's tracking, we're a week and change away from Tommy Stewart coming back. Collar's back this week. Parfitt's close. Didn't get selected, interestingly, as of when we record this. But they could be taking the danger approach there, and let's just really make sure he's cherry ripe and then unleash him. But yeah, how are you feeling about how things are tracking at this point.
I usually have these conversations with a workmate, and
Yep.
we usually have team committees every Thursday,
nice.
every Wednesday, every Thursday. Yeah, he's a big Geelong supporter as well. How we're tracking this year, I wasn't very. Oh, I wouldn't say I wasn't confident, but I wasn't. I wouldn't say impressed as well.
Yeah, right.
But at the start of the year, I was a bit. This is sort of like. I'd say this is our last chance of like getting into September glory and everything.
I mean, at the time, I agreed with you.
Yeah. At the start of the year, I thought last year was going to be like a big year, siding on the dart. Sean Higgins, Isaac Smith.
Yeah.
But
And
this
Gaz
year,
still. Oh no, sorry, no, that was Gaz's first year out. That's right.
Yeah,
Sorry, I got my
Gaz's
years mixed
first
up
year.
for a sec there.
But this year, bringing in young talent, Cooper Stevens, I've been very, very impressed with him.
Good. I'm
Also-
100% with you. Let's get Cooper as much time on the field as possible.
Exactly. Ever since Parfitt's been injured, Tom Atkins in the midfield,
Yep.
I've absolutely loved that. That's been grouse. What else? Tyson Stengel,
Jet.
I reckon he's recruit of the year, hands down.
I can't, off the top now, admittedly, I haven't given it the greatest amount of thought, but I can't
There's
think of
also
anyone else that's really.
Jordan Dawson for Adelaide.
Oh, yeah, he might be. Yeah, it might be those two kind of vying off for that
Yeah.
imaginary award.
Might be your Chol for Gold Coast, but Tyson Stengel, he has been elite for us, and
Yeah.
to help out, obviously the quick legs. Who else is quick?
And he's got that, like the way he plays, there's that creativity that, for as brilliant as Hawk and Jazz and even, Brad Close and Grime Myers and who else have we had? Frankie Evans and all those guys, Gary Rowan, all those guys that have kind of been through the forward line or continue to be in the forward line. There's he thinks about it a different way. He can draw on that kind of, that really tight hook shot, around the corner. He can draw on that quicker. So
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
just that extra half a step ahead, and he's got some of that speed as well, and he's just got some of those creative skills that some of those other blokes don't. So he really adds something very, very different in there that for as brilliant as a Grian or a Brad Close are, especially Brad Close, love that guy, and I won't speak ill of him at all, otherwise Ben will come after me. But there's something different again about Tyson Stengel, and not to mention, I mean, obviously he's been in and out of different clubs, but he's got some experience that those guys don't yet have either.
Yeah, exactly. To carry on with that question about the Cats this season and everything
Sorry to
like
cut
that. No, it's fine. No, don't be. And obviously bringing the young talent gave Mitch Nevitt a couple of runs, Ollie Dempsey as well. But obviously we've got the legends, the Hawk, Selwood, all the players that are pretty much keeping the club alive. Well, I wouldn't say alive, but alive.
Well, they did, in the last, say, 5 years where the young blokes hadn't developed at the rate they needed to. We hadn't gotten some of those recruits, and they really carried us into the finals.
Yeah.
Every year in, year out.
Yeah, exactly. But massive improvements from a lot of players.
Yeah.
Ever since 2017, Tom Stewart is absolutely elite.
Yeah.
Um,
Can't go wrong there.
Jack Henry since 2020, he's jumped up really well.
Yeah, 2020 is right. Yeah, I think.
One player I don't really have a great issue with, Jake Collar-Jasny.
He's been a lot better this year.
Been a lot better
feel
this
like.
year, I can say that.
I think he's benefiting, and that was probably one of the big issues that we had was that we were very tall in previous years. You could throw Hendo in there, obviously alongside the others, but like not overly quick, and so he was like the third or fourth tall, and had no real speed around him outside of, say, Zach Tui and Tom Stewart if he gets off. But of course he's trying to play an intercept role, so he doesn't get as many of those opportunities as you'd like. So he was always kind of, I think, a little bit exposed, and we saw it in 2020 when Dusty got a hold of him in that third term and all those sort of things, where he kind of always found himself a bit mismatched. Now he's the third or fourth tall, and can kind of be that extra man up to spoil the ball with a bit more freedom, because you've got your Mitch Duncans and those sorts of guys around him that can, as well as Jed Buse, as well as Zach Tui, and then despite the fact that he's our tallest defender, Sam De Koning also like he gets up in the contest, hits the ground, and he's up and takes off like lightning. He's just so even some of the tall like they're offsetting that perhaps big glaring weakness that he had. They're kind of offsetting that a little bit, and it allows him to kind of fly and throw the fist around. And I think I don't know about you, but one of my big concerns with Collar over the years was he'd get in there with the fist, but it was never enough to put it over the line or to hit the boundary and make sure it was safe, and it'd get sharked by someone, or he'd hit it to the wrong side and someone would sweep through and get it. But because of those changes around him, it's protected that one aspect. Like he gets in there, he gets his hand on the ball, and if it's not enough, it's more likely than ever to be okay regardless. Yeah. If he does manage to kill it, great. But if he doesn't, we've got a bit more protection for him there. So while I agree with you, I think, he's supported more than he's ever been, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I love his spoils and everything. Kicking could be a bit of an improvement.
Area of improvement.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think, though. But other than that, he has the ability of the Jets.
Yeah.
He can run through a pack and everything like that. But
he's strong. Yeah, he's strong.
Yeah. But it's just his kicking. I reckon he lacks that quite a bit. But there's always improvement. He can go up to the forward line. He can beat Coleman, Colo.
Yeah.
He's about...
yeah, that's right. I did see even the club tweeting that out today now. He's back in the list, yeah.
That was a great tweet. I saw that. That was good.
So, in terms of the year itself, do you reckon we can, we're obviously sitting on top of the ladder now. We obviously know the media is losing their minds over Geelong after, we've obviously just beaten the D's. So naturally the conversation is going to be there. I don't know if the premiership odds necessarily reflect that yet or whether the D's are still the favourites. But do you think we can actually do it this time? Go that one step further than 2020? Will the game plan, the new game plan that we've got going, will that hold up in finals compared to the old model, I guess?
I've just got to think on who we've got coming back. So we've got Stewart. We've got Parfitt to come back in, but I don't know who we'll actually replace. That's a good luxury
to have, isn't it?
I don't think he can take Tom Atkins' role because he's been absolutely insane in the midfield. I don't think that should be replaced.
I'm just checking the list now in case a name springs to mind that I'm not thinking of. I'm sure if the Geelong app can load a little bit faster, I'll check the injury list for us. But you're right. I mean, we're in a decent sort of position. I mean, Segler's come back, which poses an interesting thing with the ruck. Though, to be fair, Stanley hasn't really done much wrong lately.
No, Stanley did really well against
Maxi
Gordon Jackson over on Thursday. And this Saturday, I think he's going to do no different. I reckon...
You hope so?
Yeah, I hope so. And I reckon it's going to be no different. But
Sam Simpson's coming back. He's on the road. There's the round update as I skim through.
That's right. I saw that as well.
Who's on the list? Cooper White, Flynn Kroger, Sean Higgins, Toby Conway again as a ruck option. Cole Jasney's back. James Willis. I'm not going to be in the 22 for the finals. Parfitt. And probably the one that's not mentioned here, because it's not actually the list, it's just kind of an update on people. Asava.
Radaglia.
Yeah.
I don't think that he'll
I think we've become too tall if he comes in. Unless Stanley goes down, then maybe there's an option for him there.
I reckon Radaglia will come in. I don't think we'll take Segler for the rest of the year, unless could have Segler against maybe the Eagles, for an example, just to... I don't know, give him fresh legs in the AFL, give him a run, or even Toby Conway to debut against the Eagles. But you got to really think of those situations. If they come in and they do an outstanding job, like you never know with anything such as selectors. Like, does Reece Stanley just come in as he's the favorite, or he's our number one, or is it just a massive talking point? You don't really know with things like that.
Yeah, for sure.
The season and where I think we'll go, I'd love to see a flag, but I'm not too sure right now. It all matters to how this game plan goes with finals. With Tommy Stewart coming back, Dangerfield actually being in the best form that I'm seeing right now. He did amazing against North, elite against Melbourne. If he
Yeah,
brings on
shame about the
against,
goal kicking, but otherwise, yeah, you're bang on the money.
exactly, clearances, center clearances are a massive thing against Carlton on Saturday, which
Yeah,
I've realised they've got Paddy Cripps. I don't know, is Chera back in?
think I'll try and check the teams while we're chatting. But
Yep.
yeah,
Center
I think he
clearances
might
are a
be.
massive thing against Carlton, and to not have Brendan Parfitt in, I'm not sure if it's going to be a massive win for us. But turnovers, we're elite at. But if anything, I reckon we'll make it to the prelim. And if the top four stays how it is now, it's rather we'll be first or second. We'll rather play Brisbane or Freo. That'll be at the G. I don't want to be a little bit of a favoritism here, but we play Brisbane in the qualifying final. I'd say that's an automatic win because that'll be at the G. I don't think we.
You don't think there's a chance? I actually no. With the stadium down on the seats, no. Actually, I was going to say chance of Geelong, but yeah, I think
Nah,
yeah,
I think the G.
20,000 is not enough for a final.
Exactly. At the MCG against Brisbane, win that, go through the prelim.
And then obviously you're looking at the potential of the D's if they find themselves on the other side of the draw somewhere along the way, or you're looking at the Tigers, or obviously the loser of Melbourne and whether it's Freo and Brisbane, whichever happens there. So there's obviously some serious competition there, and you're right. I think a lot hinges on how the game plan translates to finals. Now, I think we've seen, because the model is very similar to what we've seen Richmond and Melbourne be successful with in recent years. So I'd like to think that it is, and we've kind of got the examples of that, and it's probably why the club has felt so confident going with it, because we've seen it work with other teams. It's not a safe. Well, I guess it's safe in the sense that we've seen it work, but it's there's lower risk as a result. It'll be really interesting to see how things play out, and obviously there's so many variables when it comes to finals. We obviously saw Collingwood and St Kilda in 2010, and the bounce of a ball can kind of change the entire thing. Like, it gets down to that fickle, so you can never be too sure. But I think of all this period post 2011, I guess 13 we really could have and should have, had it not been for a Trav Varco missed shot. Don't want to hang it on you, mate. Had it not, one, and again, I guess that's that bounce of a ball sort of moment. One slightly shanked kick kept us out of a grand final, and what was, you'd probably back the club in to win it at that particular point. But I think, with that exception, I think this is the best position we've been in. That's inclusive of 2020 going into the grand final. I think this is the brand of footy that wins premierships now, and the backline is still really solid. And again, you go and add Tom Stewart back into that, and assuming no one falls over injured, the backline's really solid.
Exactly.
So you can protect well there, and then you just drive forward. And I think part of that result against Melbourne shows how dangerous we are. That still, as a lot of people have said over the week, a lot of expert commentators have said over the week, we did what we did without Hawke, Jez, or Tyson Stengel contributing that much to the scoreboard. They played solid games, but they didn't pile on the goals. So it's really, really promising in that sense as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think another important one is actually how, we've seen Geelong over the years. They've gone and knocked over the top team, and everyone, oh, hang on, here we go, the club's up and about, and then they kind of, for want of a better phrase, have pissed it away a little bit since. And the fact that we get to or they've kind of taken the foot off the gas because the next week we've played a lower ranked team and we've maybe coughed the game up, or we've really not looked like the team that we saw the week prior. So I think what happens with Carlton, again, people will already know the outcome by the time they watch and listen to this, but the way we play against Carlton might really tell us a lot about where the club's at. Like, if they can go out and they can do that again, win, lose or draw, because they've got some great forwards over there. If Mackay or Curnow get on a run, and we've seen what they can do in very short bursts, they can blow teams apart. Like, if it could happen, but if they play the right style, and presumably they win. If they play like they did against Melbourne, they probably win. But if they play the right style and it just, for whatever reason, doesn't work out, better team on the day sort of thing, then I'm going to feel pretty confident about that finals thing, because it shows that the team is really switched on and they've committed to this. They've now seen it work against the best. And I think like that belief that comes from it, I think is really important.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but yeah, that's kind of where I see the direction at. And I think, yeah, this coming weekend, or this weekend past again for people watching, listening, might tell us the most about where the club's at.
Not even just this weekend. Just trying to think of fixture. We have Carlton this week.
Saints, Bulldogs.
Even Port Adelaide next week in Adelaide. Like that's even a tough one as well.
Well, they're desperate.
Yeah. So it all depends on how these next couple of weeks go. A couple of games at GMHBA, Western Bulldogs, St Kilda, and obviously last round West Coast. I wouldn't say it's an easy run home, but if we can win,
it's not a brutal one.
No, it's not St Kilda's run home.
Yeah,
that's a dangerous one. That's a dangerous one. But if the Herald Sun predicted it, we're going to be first on the ladder. We're not going to lose a game since after the bye. That'll be really good, and I could see us going all the way.
Yep, I'm with you. I think we're right there. We're right on the verge, and again, I think it's just some short-term form that if they can show that they can maintain what they've done, then I think we're in the best possible position. Again, things can happen, but we're in the best possible position to really attack this thing and win a flag. As we start to wind things down, just a few more general questions as opposed to really kind of zeroing in on you. Who's the best cat that you've ever seen?
The best cat, Gary Abler Jr.
Junior, that's fair. Totally. Like, not many better ever, let alone.
Nope. Gary Abler Jr.
Which might nip the next question in the bud, because the next question is junior v senior, and obviously, a bit like myself, we've not necessarily seen the greatest amount of senior over the years outside of stuff that was on the TV. I think I got to see one game of senior play, but that would have been about it. Who would you pick? Schoolyard pick style.
Oh, if I had to pick on my team, like if I had,
you're forming a team. Do you go the gun midfielder? Do you go the gun forward?
It's a very difficult one. Very, very difficult. I'm going to say junior, not because of the amount of games I've seen him play. I'm only saying that because I won't say there's a lot. I wouldn't say there's better forwards than senior.
Yeah.
I just say that there's other forwards that if I was making a team, that I'd pick junior in the midfield straight away.
Yeah.
And I'd stick with other forwards in the forward line other than senior. So
I could see where you're going there.
I'd go, junior over senior.
Because you could go and land no offense to senior, but you can go and land a Plugger or a Wayne Carey or a Jason Dunstall or someone like that. And, like if you had this greatest team of all time, senior probably plays forward pocket or half forward flank at that point, which is incredible, obviously.
Yeah.
But like you can land that key forward and then have junior deliver it in.
Yeah.
On a silver platter. So I can appreciate the choice. I think I'd probably go the other way, but I can appreciate the reasoning as well. So I think it's one of those questions that'll continue to get asked for years to come until, oh God, I'm sure another Ablett somehow along the way will rock up. Who knows what could have happened if Nathan Ablett stuck around?
Exactly. I question that a lot as well.
There's a big what if there, and obviously he didn't have the same love for it. He also managed to pocket a premiership medal before he disappeared, but there's always, I think, that what if around the whole thing. Now, I think you answered this one before, but who is your current favourite player?
Jeremy Cameron.
Yeah, that's fair.
Jeremy Cameron. Bit of a fan of Tom Stewart, Zach Tui. Yeah, mostly the dart.
Yeah, totally understand that one.
Yeah.
And of that next crop, and we spoke about quite a lot of them before, who's the one that you're keeping your eye on the most?
Keeping my eye on the most.
That young group that's coming through that maybe aren't getting many games at this point or potentially haven't played at all, but who's the one that you've just got a bit of a feeling about?
Cooper Stevens.
Yeah,
really.
That's my pick too. We've got a lot in common here.
Yeah, Cooper Stevens. I've really kept my eye on him ever since he got drafted. Put the polo on straight away in his interview. I don't know if you remember that. Put the polo on straight away, and I was thinking to myself, this kid is keen. He is keen. He's the one.
I don't know about you. I'm sure you probably saw the footage as well. When he got given his jersey, I don't know if you're talking about the same thing. Like to actually, for his debut, you see that footage where he was sitting in the rooms and he just kind of sat down and was looking at it.
Yeah,
like that's the stuff that if you never get to that level, you just kind of dream about. and
Yeah,
he
exactly.
obviously got to have that, experience that dream at that particular point, and to see the love that he's got for the club, and he'd obviously been through a bit. He's had quite a few injuries leading into that point. You can see how much it means to him. Like that for me, and obviously fortunate enough that the cameras managed to catch it, because you kind of had I can't remember who it was, but you had players kind of in the foreground that almost cut off the angle just by accident. But to see that in the background, and it was just this totally raw thing, was really, really great to see as a Cats fan. So
Yeah, it was.
and
It
just
was,
I think as a fan of footy too, I think like to see it mean that much to someone, I think is awesome. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you on Cooper Stevens. I think especially as Joel gets awfully close to riding off into the sunset, he is this almost ready-made replacement for him. He plays that same brutal sort of game. So keen to see how he works out.
I can't wait until he bulks up even more.
Yeah, he's already jacked.
Yeah. Jeez.
And on Joel, how long have we got left? Because we're seeing his game time is going down. The game against the Dees he played, I think it was about 67%. He's coming off the bench more and more. Now, like the media are starting to ask the questions, but ignoring that, we're Cats fans. We see more of the Cats than they do. What do you think? Do you think he's got one more in the tank? Do you think maybe it depends on what happens with the premiership tilt this year? Like if he gets the flag, does he say, okay, that's it? Where's your gut lie on that one?
My gut lies on saying that next year will definitely be his last year, premiership or not. But big call, he will maybe drop the captaincy next year and
To Tommy Stewart?
Tom Stewart.
Yeah.
And that's when he'll play more freely. I wouldn't say we wouldn't have to worry much, but I reckon.
Oh, he hasn't worried for a second out on the footy field.
Yeah, no, exactly that.
But I know what you mean. The less responsibility sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was
Focus on
trying to
his
say.
health, focus on his game, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Who
I
knows?
reckon.
You're right. Maybe it adds another year on top because he's able to just not worry about the media commitments and just put that extra time into work with the medical teams or whatever to keep those older joints. I say older joints. He's bloody. I'm the same age as him, but which hurts because then I start describing myself in the same way. But that older body, maybe squeeze a few more months out of it. Who knows? I think you might be on something there. It might be the best thing for him / the club to be able to do that handover and give him a little bit more time.
Yeah, I have thought about Joel a lot, and also Tommy Hawkins as well.
Yep.
I've had the question in my head: are they going to retire at the same time? But I don't see Tom Hawkins retiring.
No, still second on the Coleman.
Second on top Coleman, of course, but
Or third, sorry.
in 2 years' time, I reckon that's when he'll start thinking about it. I reckon. I wouldn't say think about it, but that's where I reckon Cats fans will start thinking, oh yeah, I reckon. Depends how he goes, really.
Yeah.
Depends how he
Hawk's
goes.
a really interesting one. And I'm glad you kind of went into that ballpark as well, because it's not something I've necessarily discussed with anyone on the show just yet. But Hawk's one of those ones, like, in this era where we see your Jeremy Camerons, your Max Kings, your Nortons, the guys that are really, really athletic. Hawk's no mug. Like, he can still run out a game very, very well, but he doesn't have that natural sort of spring in his step in the same way that those blokes do. He really relies on his strength. And that's not going away.
No.
He's always going to be the bigger body. So I wonder if, especially if Jeremy Cameron's still doing his thing, unless there's a young forward that really bursts through, and we're obviously seeing the likes of Shannon Neal and those sort of guys starting to get a crack and have a bit of a look at it. But if there's no one that necessarily bursts through, or we don't go and recruit someone, we don't go and poach someone from another club like we're so good at doing, then I could even still get to the point where he becomes more so than perhaps he's ever been, maybe even close to what he was back in his first few years when he was a bit of a lump of a lad and still had a bit of puppy fat and all that sort of stuff, where there's that idea that just pump it on his head. Let him just throw his opponent out of the way, and almost an old school Pagans Paddock clear the forward line sort of thing. Like, just give him the room to do it, and then you just have this fleet of smalls with Brad Close and Tyson Stengel and Myers all just running at it. And Jeremy Cameron, because he's still got he's got the speed, but also the height, just running at him to pick up any crumbs that get left behind. It'd be It'd be an interesting one. Yeah, I think 2 years is the minimum. I reckon there's the potential for more, and selfishly, I love. I mean, he's obviously crossed 700 now. I'd love to see him have a bit of a sniff at. I think 800 is fairly easily managed. He's obviously well on his way already now.
Yeah, I reckon
quite
800
a few since 700. But I just can't. If you can get 3, God, even look at potentially a 4th and start pushing Dustin Fletcher sort of territory. 900 looks like a pretty viable sort of thing. And again, because I think the way he's always played and that size that he's got, he's always going to have that size advantage.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't rule it out. Again, maybe it's the fan hopes and dreams and that sort of thing. But I don't know. There's a little feeling there that, as long as the body stays okay and he doesn't get pushed out by a young gun that we need to give time to, then I could see him hanging around a little bit and using that strength to his advantage. In ways that he hasn't previously. Like his game becomes far more 80s and 90s, just one-on-one, throw each other around, and there's not going to be many defenders that can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's
it'll be interesting.
I was thinking as well. But yeah, it is an interesting one, Hawkins. But I don't want to think of it now.
No, let's not.
I don't want to see him go. I don't want to see him go anywhere.
Well, Jake, thanks so much for coming on the show and sharing this love of the Cats and everything so far, the experience of what this last week has been. Lots of people have obviously found you on social media in the last few days, but if people want to learn more about what you're up to, learn about that love of the Cats, reach out even, where would people be best to go?
Oh, best place to go.
Social media, Instagram, Twitter, any of those sort of things?
Not sure even,
for what it's worth, you've got a handle above your head in the video version right now, so
I'd say you can shoot me a message on Instagram. Yeah, I'd
even
say
just
that.
to drop a follow.
Yeah, drop a follow, anything like that. Subscribe to the YouTube. I'll start uploading if that's the case.
Sweet. Where should people go for the YouTube content?
Just my name, Jake Rippon.
Done. Make sure to chuck a like, chuck a follow. He's building a giant platform now after this week. Look out, he's going to be the next big thing coming out of Geelong. We've got the likes of Caden McDonald and all that on the Melbourne side, and they're fantastic. Well, look out, here's our Geelong equivalent that's going to blow them all away. So easily cruise past us in the next week. So it's all right. You're already famous. Don't worry about it.
No, Paul.
But thanks so much for coming on the show, mate, and having a chat and. Yeah, the talk of the footy land this last week, and I hope it sat well with you. I'm sure you've had a lot of fun with it, and let's hope that we're both celebrating a successful premiership tilt in just a few months.
No, of course, yeah. Thank you very much for having me, Paul. It's been great.
Not a problem at all. Cats fans, make sure to subscribe to The Hoop Show on YouTube. Check out Behind the Play on podcast services, the good ones and the bad ones. And until next week, remain Geelong strong. I'll see you later.